العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزلنا من البينات والهدى من بعد ما بيناه للناس في الكتاب أولئك يلعنهم الله ويلعنهم اللاعنون إلا الذين تابوا وأصلحوا وبينوا فأولئك أتوب عليهم وأنا التواب الرحيم إن الذين كفروا وماتوا وهم كفار أولئك عليهم لعنة الله والملائكة والناس أجمعين خالدين فيها لا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينظرون وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, check and make sure the sound's working. No, I guess I can check it here because I just got the sound off. Inshallah, check and make sure the sound's working. No, I guess I can check it here because. All right. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So we're on chapter 99. باب نفقة الرجل على عبده وخادمه صدقة. So this is a chapter on what? The nafaqah. Nafaqah means what? The money that you spend is, on something to support somebody. The money that you spend to support somebody. So I said nafaqat al-rajul, and the money that the man spends on his slave, his servant, is considered what? Charity. What does the chapter say for you? Yeah, but the nafaqah, the nafaqah specifically, the money that you spend to support, like the people that are under your, like your children, your wife, people like that. That's all of that's nafaqah. All right, so hadith number 195. حدثنا إبراهيم ابن موسى قال أخبرنا بقية. بقية here is بقية ibn al-Walid. Baqiyat ibn Walid, there's so much kalam on this guy. He's from the Imams, right, of hadith. But his hadith is only accepted if he narrates from people who are known. If he narrates hadith from somebody who's not known, his hadith is rejected. So it's like when you read about it, what the ulama said about him, it's actually kind of funny. Like you don't see anybody like this type of. They say, huh? What? البسه يبكي ليش؟ البسه حق المسجد كيف يبكي؟ ممكن كان في بس بالطعام حقها. Alright, so Baqiyat ibn Walid, if he narrates from people who are authentic, he's authentic. If he narrates from people who are unknown, he's not authentic anymore, because he's known for narrating from people who are. He's known for tadlis, and tadlis we talked about this before. It means what? You remember? Tadlis. Tadlis, it means like you cover up. You say, like, for example, you say like you don't want to mention the person that you narrated from because the person is da'if. So one way of doing it is by saying his kunya that he's not known by. Like, for example, he's known by his name. Like, let's just say like Muhammad ibn Abdullah. He's not known by his kunya Abu Saleh, for example. So he says, Hadathani Abu Saleh. And nobody calls him Abu Saleh. This is his kunya, but nobody knows him by that. So there's other narrators that have the name Abu Saleh who are authentic, but the guy that he's narrating from is what? Is da'if. So he goes by the kunya to make the people think that he's talking about what? Somebody else. This is one form of tadlis. Another form of tadlis is to narrate from the sheikh of his sheikh and make it like he heard from that sheikh, but he didn't hear from him. It was his sheikh. Because his sheikh is weak, but the sheikh that his sheikh narrates from is what? Authentic. And maybe the hadith is authentic, but the sheikh that he narrated from is what? He's weak. So if he says, Hadathani shaykhi, whoever he is, Fulan ibn Fulan, the hadith will be rejected. So but he knows the hadith is authentic. So what does he do? He says, Hadathani, and then he narrates from his sheikh, to make the hadith authentic. And he never heard hadith from him. He didn't take the hadith from him. Kunya is Abu Kada. Abu, the father of Abu Huraira, Abu Bakr. All of these are kunyas. So Baqiyat ibn al-Walid is from those types of people who do tadlis. And he's so severe. He's so severe in the tadlis that he has to, for his hadith to be accepted, he has to say Hadathani or Akhbarani, and for his sheikh. And then he has to say Hadathani or Akhbarani for his sheikh. That's how strong the tadlis is. So if he says, for example, Hadathani shaykhi, an shaykhi, the hadith is what? Rejected. The chain of narration is rejected because he has to say Haddathani shaykhi wa haddathana shaykhi. He has to put haddathana. If he doesn't do that for his sheikh and the sheikh of his sheikh, then they reject the hadith because of his shiddat al-tadlis. And Allah knows best. And watch what he does here. Are you ready to read the chain of narration? You ready? All right, so حدثنا إبراهيم ibn Musa قال أخبرنا بقية ibn Walid. This is our friend here. قال أخبرني. Okay, he said what? أخبرني Bahir ibn Sa'id. Man, next time y'all pray behind there, man. Y'all go back there and pray. All right, Bahir ibn Sa'd, sorry. So he said أخبرني, right? So we're cool, right? Now what about the sheikh of the sheikh? An Khalid ibn Ma'dan. So what? Based on the principle. Now this is not the principle. Not everybody says this about him. This hadith is sahih. All right, but I'm just saying that this is what some people will reject the hadith if he does not what? If he does not say akhbarani or hadathani an sheikh wa sheikhi. Both of them have to be hadathana akhbarana. One of those two phrases, right? So so here he said an Khalid ibn Ma'dan. So according to some people, what the hadith would be da'if because of that, because he said an, and that's an ana, and of course he's from the people that the an ana is not accepted. But normally the an ana, when the person says an, it's only for him and the sheikh, not for the sheikh of the sheikh. But mashallah, Baqiyah, he's got special privileges, So, but this, like I said, this hadith called Tubi'. Huh? Easier. All right. So this hadith, they followed it up, and then they found that like it's authentic. Sahih لغيره. Sahihun لغيره لماذا? And if you go through like Tahdhib al-Kamal, or you go through Sir A'lam al-Nubala, and you read the tarjama, the biography of Baqiyat ibn Walid, you'll see a lot of mixed speech about him, right? So a lot of the ulama praise him, and then you got other ulama that say what? Yuktab hadithuhu wa la yuhtaju bih. So, you understand?
I want to, but I have other commitments as well.
Okay, sure. You're not going into none of these Mexican parties tonight, are you?
Who knows? Wherever the truck stops.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. No butter chicken?
What I'll do if somehow you can magnetize me to the masjid, I'll bring you some food, or I can pay for it and you can send somebody. And that's from a halal restaurant.
Nah,
But
nah, nah.
I don't like the butter chicken really.
The butter chicken from the restaurants is not the
I like
same.
the Yemeni food, Yemeni and Syrian, and I like the Yemeni, the mandi. Is that called mandi? The soft
Yeah,
chicken.
yeah. The mandi is like that red chicken.
You have one restaurant right here on Blackstone and Mackenzie, or right next, and that's
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, probably Hadramaut.
Blackstone Grill.
Mm.
Really good.
We'll have to check it out, inshallah.
Inshallah. And the other good one I know is the Golden Grill.
Mm.
I'll owe you guys one tray of the Golden Grill, inshallah.
Inshallah. Allah yubarak feek.
If you want to, I will order right now.
No. We're good. We're good. We're good. Yeah. Jazakum Allah khair. Assalamu alaikum. All right. So after this, أخبرني بحير ابن سعد عن خالد بن معدان عن المقدام رضي الله عنه سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ما أطعمت نفسك فهو صدقة وما أطعمت ولدك وزوجتك وخادمك فهو صدقة. All right. So here, Al-Miqdam رضي الله عنه, he reported that he heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم say, whatever you feed yourself, ما أطعمت نفسك, what you feed yourself, is what? Sadaqah, it's charity, right? But it's charity if you do what? تحتسبه, which means that you seek the reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not that you just Muhammad Fatima says, I need some butter chicken. Now we need some butter chicken. That's what I'm asking. I'm just making sure the sound's working. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're late. You prayed Maghrib or no? Okay. What is that? نعم بس أهم شيء تحتسبه. Like you seek the reward, like you're doing it, seeking the reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not that you just like what? Feed yourself and eat like Addy without thinking about it. Like I'm hungry, I go get a sandwich and I eat. That's not sadaqah because you're not what? There's no, لا بد أن تحتسبه صدقة. So you have to seek the reward. Like, for example, now, like we talked about before, like if you're hungry and you go and you eat, eat to strengthen yourself. So like now you can get back to doing worship and things like that. You get the reward for the eating and you get the reward for feeding yourself the food. You know what I'm saying? So it's, but again, it goes back to seeking that reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not just doing things out of like habit. Just because it's just, I'm hungry, I eat. I'm hungry, the foods that I eat. Okay. So he said, وَمَا أَطْعَمْتَ وَلَدَكَ وَزَوْجَتَكَ, and then he said, whatever you feed your son or your wife, وَخَادِمَكَ, or your servant, فَهُوَ صَدَقَةٌ. And boy, that used to make your mother so angry. I used to say that all the time. I said, nah, man, I feed y'all because I want this reward from Allah. This is charity. What? It's like, don't tell your wives that, don't just seek the reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in yourself, but don't tell your wives that, because then they're like, oh, I'm just a charity case, huh? So, but Allah musta'an. Don't tell your family. Use hikmah. Me, I had to learn by getting hit in the head with a sledgehammer about 50 times, but you learn. The most important thing, you still learn from your mistakes. But being that I learned from mine, I teach you not to make those mistakes. Keep that to yourself. Don't tell your wife, yeah, man, this is charity. Take it. All right. Obviously, that's if she, if she's not from Ahl al-Bayt. If she's from Ahl al-Bayt, then you have a problem. Why? She's from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not permissible for them to eat charity. So if you have the intention of giving them the food as charity, then they're not allowed to eat it. All right. Why? Well, so what do you, well, not why. I mean, I just told you because they're from Ahl al-Bayt. And Ahl al-Bayt, it's not permissible for them to eat charity from the charity. So what can you do to change that? What if you're married from Ahl al-Bayt? You can't say it's charity. So what do you have to do? Huh? Exactly. You say it's a gift. You say it's a gift. All right. All right. And you give it to them as a gift. But you still seek the reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. So after that, hadith number 196. حدثنا مسدد Generally, when you see musaddad, you're going to understand that the hadith. I mean, well, it's not going to be always Bukhari and Muslim. This is Bukhari, but I'm talking about Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, because Abu Dawood also narrates from musaddad. But generally, when you see like musaddad, you know that this is a chain of narration from what? Sahih Bukhari. And of course, this hadith right here is from Sahih al-Bukhari. So he said, حدثنا مسدد قال حدثنا حماد بن زيد عن عاصم ابن بهدلة عن أبي صالح عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم خير الصدقة ما بقى غنى واليد العليا خير من اليد السفلى وابدأ بمن تعول تقول امراتك أنفق علي أو طلقني ويقول مملوكك أنفق علي أو بعني ويقول ولدك إلى من تكلني. And this, like I said, this hadith is in Bukhari. So here Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said the best of sadaqah, khayr sadaqah ma baqqa ghinan. What does that mean? Ma baqqa ghinan. You try to open the book first. He's like, no, trying to, what's the question? There ain't no question. Open the book.
What number hadith? 196. 1096. I mean 196.
1096. We're almost at the end of the book, Jama'ah. About to finish this book, 1096. He's nervous right now. Let him be. But I'm going to mess with him. I can do that, but y'all leave him alone. All right. So, like we said, let's get back to hadith number 1096. All right. All right. So, he said, خَيْرُ الصَّدَقَةِ مَا بَقَّى غِنًا. So, this قد اختلفوا في هذا المعنى على القولين. So, there's two statements from the ulama in regards to this. The statement number one, خَيْرُ الصَّدَقَةِ مَا بَقَّى غِنًا عندك. Like if you're the giver, you're giving the sadaqah. So that means that you don't. 196. They told you. You're the one that said 1,000. So basically, you don't give charity to the point that what? Afterwards, you don't have enough left over to fulfill the rights of the people around you. So you go and give charity. But now your family's starving. Your family doesn't have enough food. But your neighbors are eating good. But your children are looking at you like, I want a new father. You're not doing your job. So this is the best of sadaqah, ma baqqa ghinan. So that's the first code. The second code is ma baqqa ghinan and the al-mu'ta ilayh, the one that you gave. That as long as you keep giving them, so he can stay in a state of having something all the time. And he doesn't go back to the state of what? Being impoverished. The strongest understanding of this hadith, it means that الَّذِي بَقَّى غِنًا عَنْدِكَ, if you're the mu'ti and not the mu'ta, because you have rights and you can't give charity if it's going to take away from the rights of the people. Because again, fulfilling those rights of the people, we see this from the previous hadith, is what? Supporting, buying food for your wife, for your children, clothing them, is what? It's sadaqah, right? It's charity. So that's the best charity. Is like first your family, and you don't go and like neglect their rights to go fulfill, something that's tatawwa', which is tatawwa'. It means what?
Willing.
It means like you're doing extra acts of goodness. You're trying to do extra. No, first fulfill the wajib. Then you can go off and do what? Give charity to, you have you fulfilled your rights in your house, your food for the house, the clothing for the house and everything. Now you have extra money. Okay, go find poor people and help them out. But don't help them out at the, by neglecting your family and your rights with your family. All right. And then he said after this, he said, مَا بَقَّى غِنًا وَالْيَدُ الْعُلْيَا خَيْرٌ مِنَ الْيَدِ السُّفْلَى. And here, if you translate this, it's not going to make any sense, right? So the high hand is better than the low hand. Alright, the high hand, the yad al-ulya, is the yad al-mu'ti, is the one who's giving. The yad al-sufla is what? The one who's taking or asking. And generally, but it's really for the person who's asking. Like he's asking, like, I need this, help me out, help me out. So for him, this is the yad al-sufla, it's the lower hand. Alright. So, yeah. And he said, وَابْدَأْ بِمَنْ تَعُولُ. He said, وَابْدَأْ بِمَنْ تَعُولُ. We talked about this word, عَالَ يَعُولُ. What does it mean? Crickets. I need to get a cricket. A little pet cricket. I'll call him Jiminy and put him on the table. So every time I ask y'all a question and he starts making that noise, everybody in the whole masjid can hear it. Even if there's people in the back now, they can hear it. So no answer. All right. So ala ya'ulu, it means like kafala. All right, like kafala wa qama bi hajatihim. Like if you have a family that you take on the responsibilities to provide for them all their needs. So this is what he meant. It meant when the Prophet ﷺ said, "Wabda biman ta'ul." Start with the people who are what? Under your responsibility first. The people that you're responsible for, the people that were there, like spending on them is an obligation. What did the translation say?
196, right?
Mm.
The whole thing or what?
No, just that one part. Wabda, start with or begin with what?
Spend on me or send your child says, on whom do you leave us to?
No, before that.
Giving hand is better than they're sitting on, and start with your dependents.
Start with your dependents, yeah, the people that depend on you. The people, but it's stronger because the people that depend on you, it's an obligation for you to fulfill their rights first. He said, all right, now, wabda biman ta'ul, the hadith ends here. The hadith ends here. But then you say, well, there's still more hadith, right? Why are you closing your book? This extra speech that you see in the hadith is from who? From the Prophet ﷺ? No, it's from Abu Hurairah. Because Abu Hurairah, he's the one that's narrating the hadith. And basically what he's saying is, he's saying, if you don't do this, if you don't follow this advice, what he's going to say here is what's going to happen to you. What's going to be the result. So he said, تَقُولُ إِمْرَاتُكَ, your wife will say, أَنْفِقْ عَلَيَّ أَوْ طَلِّقْنِي, spend on me or divorce me. Because you're not giving her rights, you're giving charity to other people. You know what I'm saying? So you're not fulfilling her rights. So she says, either give me or divorce me. And then وَيَقُولُ مَمْلُوكُكَ, and your slave will say, أَنْفِقْ عَلَيَّ أَوْ بِعْنِي, either you spend on me and support me and feed me and clothe me, or sell me, you get rid of me, but I don't want to be with you anymore because you're not fulfilling my rights. And then he says, وَيَقُولُ وَلَدُكَ, and your son will say, وَلَدُ إِلَى مَنْ تَقِلُونِي. So, like, you're going to put me in the control of who? If you're not spending on me, you can't get rid of me, you can't divorce your kids, you can't sell your kids. So it's like, إِلَى مَنْ تَقِلُونِي, like, who are you going to leave me in the responsibility of? Because they have their children, their support is what? It's you. You can't just like tell them to go to the neighbors. The wife, you could divorce her. You could divorce the wife. She can go back to her family. If you have a servant or a person working for you, could fire them or get rid of them and tell them go. Well, the kids, what are you going to do? They rely on the parents. So the parents aren't. That's why he said, إِلَى مَنْ تَقِلُونِي, who are you going to leave me to? So Allah musta'an. All right, hadith number 197. حدثنا محمد بن كثير, and like I said, that previous hadith 196 is in Sahih al-Bukhari. حدثنا محمد بن كثير قال what ما فيش باب هنا. what الباب نفس الباب. فين أنت عندك نفس الكتاب عندي. no 97. حدثنا محمد بن كثير قال أخبرنا سفيان. Sufyan here is a Thawri. How do we know it's a Sufyan al-Thawri? Because he narrates on Muhammad ibn Ajlan. So if you see Sufyan, and we see our friend Muhammad ibn Ajlan that we've been seeing a lot of these days, then it's Sufyan al-Thawri. Sufyan ibn Uyayna does not narrate from Muhammad ibn Ajlan. And al-Maqburi here is who? Sa'id al-Maqburi. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال أمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بصدقة فقال رجل عندي دينار قال أنفقه على نفسك قال عندي آخر قال أنفقه على زوجتك قال عندي آخر قال أنفقه على خادمك ثم أنت أبصار. Alright, so here Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, he reported that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم commanded, he said Amara Nabi, Amara here he commanded بصدقة, he commanded the people to give charity, to give sadaqah. So a man stood up and he said, Endi dinar, I have 1 dinar. He said, Anfiqhu ala nafsak. He said, spend it on yourself. The things that you need. The things that you need, not the things that you what? You desire or you want, but spend it on yourself for the things that you need. If you have everything that you need, then go to the next person down. He said, Qala endi akhar. And he said, I have another dinar. Qala anfiqhu ala zawjatik. Then spend it on your wife. Fulfill her needs. قال عندي آخر, I have another one. قال أنفقه على خادمك. He said, then spend it on your servant. Other narrations it says spend it on your son or your children, then on your servant. Then he said ثم أنت أبصار. He said after that, then what? You know where the best place, because once you fulfilled, you got yourself, you got your wife, you got your kids, and you got your servant. So now you've fulfilled the rights of everybody that's dependent upon you, right? So now once you've finished that and you still have another one, you still have, like, I have another dinar after that, then the Prophet ﷺ said, Anta absar. You see who the most befitting person is and give that person charity based on what you see, because you know the people. Maybe it's your neighbor, maybe it's somebody else, maybe your neighbor's rich, but then you have another friend who's not rich, you help that person out. So you look at the situation and what's most befitting, and Allah knows best. I think Chicken Fingers is back. We got somebody called the Resounding Zubair. I don't know if is that Chicken Fingers? I don't think so. I don't think the Resounding Zubair, but who knows? He's come in a lot of different forms, man. He's like a jinni. He takes different forms. Listen, he's asking about Uthman ibn Khamis, I think, and because people keep asking. I don't know these people. Huh? What? Uthman al-Khamis. Yeah. All right, so I don't know these people. Yeah, look, man, I studied in Yemen. Ask me about the people in Yemen. And when I studied in Saudi, I studied with,
I'm sure he's not from Kuwait.
So if he's not even in Saudi, then like I said, I don't even know. So, ask me about the place where I studied. I can't answer questions about other countries of other people. You have to go to those countries and ask those people, because they're more knowledgeable about the people in their country. It's not for me. I didn't study in the country. I never lived in the country. The only time that I've ever been to Kuwait in my whole life is because the plane stopped there to drop off some people and it took off again. Yeah, we stopped in Kuwait. Remember that? That's it. It's the only time that I've ever been in Kuwait in my whole entire life. You get a lot of these people, right? Well, they're from Ahl Sunnah, as far as you see, they study with Ahl Sunnah. But what the problem is that they get around all these groups, and these groups start to affect them, and then affect them and infect them with that Hizbi virus, And then you start to see them praising people that they weren't going to praise before. Look at Dedu, for example. Dedu, in his early days, Muhammad al-Hassan, Dedu, he was he just teaching hadith. He was mashallah, like Bukhari. He's all about memorization hadith until he got affiliated with the Ikhwani Muslimin. And once he got affiliated with them, then khalas, everything just started to flip. And then he spent all his time running around with them, praising them, and all his lessons stopped. I remember back in the days, he said, I'm going to teach Sahih Bukhari the way that the people from before taught Sahih Bukhari. He said, anybody with the book of Sahih Bukhari, he said, don't bring it. He said, I'm going to narrate the hadith with the chain of narration from memory, and you guys write it down like they used to write it down before, and you memorize it like that. This was how he was back in the days. But then once he started getting affiliated with all these groups, Salman al-Auda and all these types of people, then watch, he flip-flopped. And then the next thing you know, he's running around the country, and he's not teaching Bukhari anymore. And this is what always happens. If you ever notice about the people, they're like serious students of knowledge, but once they get affiliated with these groups, when they're teaching, they teach books, they teach Bukhari, they teach Muslim, they teach books of hadith, they teach books of aqidah. But then what do they do when they get affiliated with these groups? They run around giving what? The story of Abraham, the story of Nur. They start becoming storytellers, like just telling stories. They end up just giving muhadarat because they're not teaching anymore. There's no classes. So I don't think he made it like 30, 40 hadiths in the Bukhari. And then he's running all over the world with the Ikhwani Muslimin, raising money and doing all this. And so, it's a lot of these individuals, like their background is like legit, you see that they're legit, but then they get caught up with these groups, and that's what starts to and then they start praising people like you see, praising certain individuals they would have never praised before, because they can't talk about those people, because if they talk about those people, what's going to happen? That waterfall of the money is gonna get cut off, and they know that, because this is what these hezbi, like these groups, do. They don't come in and just start telling you, hey, do what we tell you to do. No, they don't do that. And this is the danger about it. If they just did that, then you would reject them outright. You say, nah, man, get away from me. I ain't got nothing to do with you. But that's not what they do. They invite you over to dinner. They start saying, oh, mashallah, and this even happened to me in Yemen, akhi, man. But they do this, right? They'll come up to you and hand you an envelope and say, man, we've seen what you're doing with the dawah, and this, like when I was in Yemen, they said, mashallah, you're a student of knowledge, here, take this money. Gave me an envelope, like 5,000 riyals, which actually, it's probably more than 5,000. It's like 10,000 riyals. It's like $50. But, when you're poor, 10,000 riyals is a lot of money, right? Yeah. A riyal Yemeni. It's like it's like $50. All right. The dude handed me the envelope. I said, Jazakallah khair. I went straight across the street to the bookstore and spent all the money on books and went home. Took the books home. I was like, because I knew what they're giving me the money for. I'm not stupid. But that's what they do. They want you to start getting comfortable with that money coming. Then once you start getting comfortable with that money, and now they say, now you talk about somebody, right? And they say, oh, you know what? Can't talk about him, because, the people around us, they don't really like that. And you're like, well, no, I'm going to talk about him. We know. You're right. He's not good, but you can't talk about him because these people that support us, they love him, and then you start to see these problems, and then you start to see him. He starts to get quiet, and then he starts to talk about riba's haram. Oh no, brother, you can't talk about riba being haram because the people that support us, Yeah. Well, how much did you do the sarf with? No, at that time it was at that time, no, I'm going based on the sarf at that time. $46.51, because the riyal was 215 riyals at that time. Now it's like a lot higher, like $1. I think now the riyal, I think is 250, but at that time it was like 215, something like that. So let's just say $50. But I got some books for that. I got some books, and I still whatever. Don't care nothing about them. But this is what happens to these people. So Allah musta'an. So I'm not saying the person might be beneficial, but then you got to look at the people that he's around. The people he's around. Like, for example, Muhammad al-Hasan al-Dadu. He goes to Saudi a lot. Who's he sitting with? Who does he sit with? Does he go and visit the ulama? the last time that I remember that he went there was when I was in Saudi Arabia. This was before Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi died. Did he go and sit with him? Sheikh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi, one of the biggest muhaddithin, and this guy, he loves to teach Bukhari from his memory. You would think that the number one person that he would want to go visit is who? No, he's visiting the Tujjar. He's visiting the people with the money, the businessmen in Saudi. He's sitting there, eating in these palaces. He's not over there visiting the ulama and sitting with them. Show me one time where he went and sat with the ulama and sat in their class. When he was in Medina, that he went to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad and sat in his class. Sheikh Yahya, when he went to Medina, the first thing that he did was went straight to Sheikh Abdul Muhsin's class and sat in it. And then from what I heard, from the students, and Allah knows best, but I have no reason to doubt this, is that the people kept going to the Sheikh and asking him questions. So he got up and he stopped going to the class of Sheikh Abdul Muhsin because he didn't want to distract the people from the class. Because the people were coming to him like, oh, you're Sheikh Yahya. He started asking them questions. So he left, and he got up and he left, and he wouldn't go back because of this. He didn't want to distract them, take the attention away from the Sheikh. But he did that. He went straight to and sat in his class when he was teaching hadith. That's what the people of the Sunnah do. So you always look at the people that he's around. When he goes to these countries, who's he around? Who does he sit with? And you don't see him sitting amongst the ulama. You see him with these pictures on Instagram and on social media where he's in a big room with all these people that you've never seen before. These are the people with money. These are the businessmen. And this is where he's hanging out at, Because I remember the same thing with that issue with that guy from Maghrib. What's his name? Kamali. But I'm talking about, this is way back in the days. This is way back. Everybody knows who he is now. But this was back when he first started getting popular. I'm talking like maybe 12, 13 years ago, maybe, or give or take, right? So nobody knew who he was. But then we started seeing, these little pictures of him and videos of him going to Sardiya. And who's he sitting with in Sardiya? He's not going to visit the ulama. He's going and visiting all these people with the money. These businessmen and these people that you can see, they're not students of knowledge. So these types of things, akhi, you gotta always pay attention to. You have to pay attention, about who they're going around, who they're sitting around, who they're visiting. He's in Riyadh, right? He goes to Riyadh, but he doesn't go sit in a class with Sheikh Saleh Fawzan. He doesn't sit in a class back in those days with Sheikh Abdullah al-Qusayr, or Sheikh whoever, who else? Well, I forgot the other. SubhanAllah, I forgot his name. If I remember his name. But the point is that you got ulama there in Riyadh. You don't see him in the classes. Sheikh Abdul Salam al-Shuwair teaches in Riyadh most of the times. You don't see him there. So if you don't see the person in these classes is not concerned about knowledge, because it doesn't matter you're a sheikh. It doesn't matter what type of martaba, what type of level that you've gotten to. There's always going to be somebody more knowledgeable than you. Always. And you go and you find that person, and if that person's there, you go sit with them. And you show that, and even going and sitting with this ulama, like let's say that you're known as being a sheikh, and you like Sheikh Yahya going and sitting with Sheikh Abdul Muhsin, and when he was in Riyadh, he sat down with Sheikh Saleh Fawzan also. But if people they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you about that meeting between Sheikh Saleh Fawzan and Sheikh Yahya. They won't tell you that. They're going to keep posting that stupid lie that they put on the, where the guy called Sheikh Saleh Fawzan, it was like late at night, and said, what do you say about it? A person who says this, and he says, oh, Sheikh Saleh Fawzan refused al-Hajuri. No. Go back and go find out. Go ask Sheikh Saleh Fawzan. Well, it was like 2000, this was when Sheikh Yahya left out of 2000, I was like 15. He went there for treatment, when the war started. He was in Sardiya. And he was in Riyadh, and Sheikh Abdul Hamid was with him. Sheikh Abdul Hamid is the one that met Sheikh Saleh Fawzan and told Sheikh Saleh Fawzan, Sheikh Yahya is in the hotel, because they had him up in a hotel while he was in Riyadh getting his paperwork and stuff. And Sheikh Saleh Fawzan said, I'll meet him. Like, we'll meet later. And when they met together, Sheikh Saleh Fawzan was praising him. But that's what the ulama do. They go and they sit, and this is respect. They show respect for the other ulama when you sit with them. You don't go there and sit with Tujjar. Who are you trying to show respect to? So you're showing more respect to like the businessmen than you show to the ulama. You go and you sit with the people of khair. Even if you see even if you're more knowledgeable than him, sit with him out of what? Out of respect, and just to get the ajr, because when the other students, they see you sitting with them, it's gonna they're gonna love their sheikh even more. Like, wow, mashallah, Sheikh Fulan is sitting in the class, it shows your humility, and it shows you being humble, and it shows, like, the respect. Now it increases the students' respect for that sheikh, and it makes them more serious when they study with him. But if you see people, they don't do that. They don't go around sitting with the ulama or sitting around with the people of khair, then khalas. All right. Any other questions? You disappeared for months, and Chicken Fingers disappeared for months. He said, the resounding Zubair said, Ustad, I have been asking questions here for a long time. How come you thought I was Chicken Fingers? Because Chicken Fingers has like 10 accounts, So you disappeared for a month, and Chicken Fingers disappeared for a month. So what to do? These are all just statements. So, all right, man, let's get to this. There's no problem. There's nothing that prohibits it. What, touching the mushaf without wudu? No, there's nothing that prohibits it. And we've gone over that before. So, yeah, we didn't go over it here, but I went over it in my class in Bulugh Maram that I was doing in Jacksonville, in the Kitab al-Tahara. So, I'm going to answer one more question before we get to this book. He said, can a person become a scholar if he doesn't have a strong memory? He said, هل يمكن الرجل أن يصير مفتيا? You said muftiyan in your Arabic, and then you said scholar in your English. So let's just go with scholar. All right. So yeah, because الضبط في ينقسم إلى قسمين, right? When we talk about the adala, that one of the conditions of the person being, not the adala, sorry, but one of the conditions that the person has to be adalun, and then he say what? ضابط. ضابط, it means what? ضابط, it means like daqiq in his narrations, like he memorizes it the way it was narrated. You understand, he has a very strong memory. But the ضبط ينقسم إلى قسمين. You got the ضبط إيش? ضبط الكتابة and ضبط الصدر. صدر. So al-kitaba, it means that you don't have a strong memory, and you know that you don't have a strong memory, so you keep everything what? You keep everything written down. And when you narrate hadith from what? From your notes. You don't you don't narrate from your memory. All right. And if you have a strong memory, khalas, you narrate from your memory. But you have to make sure that you're accurate. That's the best word for it. You have accuracy in your narrations. But if you don't have that strong memory, then you make sure that you're accurate in your writing and keeping notes and making sure that you get the exact wording the way that the sheikh said it. And you keep those notes. And then when you narrate, you only narrate from that. Because if you're known for having a bad memory, and one day you're narrating hadith from your memory, because you forgot your notebook at home, and this has happened with different ulama, because they lost, like maybe their books got burned up in a fire. So then he started narrating from his memory, and guess what happened after that fire? His hadith is rejected. It's rejected because he was making too many mistakes, because he didn't have that strong memory, and he relied on his book a lot. Even if he had a strong memory, but because he relied on everything that was written in the book, so he started making a lot of mistakes, and this has happened. You're going to find people like this when you read through the stories of the people of the past. You'll find that he lost his books in a fire, and he started narrating from his memory, and then after that, his hadith was rejected. So you have to make sure that you get the narrations from him, that he narrated from his book and not from his memory. All right, you ready? So here you got the book. You got the PDF, right? For this Sharia, you got the PDF, right?
I ordered the book, but it still
hasn't even shipped yet. That was like how long ago? SubhanAllah. Maybe they got to print it. Maybe it's published by Amazon. See, the problem, if it's published by Amazon and there aren't a lot of orders, it will take a minute to ship because they want to wait and see if more people are going to order it so they could just print out maybe more copies at once. So maybe maybe that happens. All right. So we are all right. Qala Muhammad ibn al-Husayn rahimahullah. This is after the first. He brought all those ayats. Now he talks and he's going to bring more ayats. Is that where you're at, Saifu? All right. So he said, Qala Muhammad ibn al-Husayn rahimahullah huwa al-Imam al-Ajuri. فعلمنا مولانا الكريم أنهم أوتوا علما فبغى بعضهم على بعض وحسد بعضهم بعضا حتى أخرجهم ذلك إلى أن تفرقوا فهلكوا. So Al-Ajuri rahimahullah said, so the one who protects us and takes care of us, obviously referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has taught us that after, Mawlana al-Kareem, أنهم أوتوا علما, that they were given what? They were given knowledge, and then after they were given knowledge, فَبَغَى بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ, then they started transgressing against each other after the knowledge was given to them. وَحَسَدَ بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا, and then they became jealous and envious of one another. حَتَّى أَخْرَجُهُمْ ذَلِكَ, until this took them out to the point of أَن تَفَرَّقُوا فَهَلَكُوا, and then they started branching off into different groups, and then they were destroyed. Then after that he said, فَإِنْ قَالَ قَائِلٌ, so if a person were to say, فَأَيْنَ الْمَوَاضِعُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ الَّتِي نَهَانَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ فِيهَا أَن نَكُونَ مِثْلَهُم حَتَّى نَحْذَرَ ما حذرنا مولانا من الفرقة بل نلزم الجماعة. So if a person were to say, where are the places in the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited us and نَكُونَ مِثْلَهُم, and prohibited us from being like them, so we can beware of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us against from the firqa, from breaking off and splintering off into groups and differing amongst each other. Bal nuzim al jama'ah, so we can maintain ourselves in the jama'ah, like stay with the jama'ah of the people of the sunnah. So now this is the answer to that question. Now he's going to bring all these different ayats, and now this is going to be the answer. So قِيلَ لَهُ, it is said to him, قال الله عز وجل, and for the people who understand the Arabic language, and maybe you're teaching in a city, or maybe you even from time to time get up and give the khutbah. These two things right here that's like that thing that we read, the first set of ayat, that's a khutbah right there. And these ayat that we're about to read right now, another khutbah. So this is very beneficial. He laid out everything out for you. All you need to do is just take the ayat that he gave you and organize it, memorize it, organize it, and give it as a khutbah right now. Yeah. We're about to read the second set of ayats from the Quran. He brought like a whole bunch of ayat, and then now he's talked. Now he brought then he's bringing more. All right. So he said, قِيلَ لَهُ قَالَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ في سورة آل عمران أَيَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. So he said, oh, you who believe, اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ. And what is this حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ? It is explained by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, and also Ibn Abbas said the same thing. He said, هو أن يطاع ولا يعصى وأن يذكر فلا ينسى وأن يشكر فلا يكفر. All right, so this is the definition. The full definition was given by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. All right, Ibn Abbas, he said, أن يطاع ولا يعصى, without all the rest of the full thing is given by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. So he said, هو أن يطاع هو يطاع ولا يعصى, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is obeyed and he's not disobeyed. وَيُذْكَرْ وَلَا يُنْسَى, and he's remembered, like you remember him. When whenever you're free or whatever, but they're reading the Quran or just doing dhikr, you remember Allah and you don't forget him. He's not forgotten. And then after that he said, وَأَنْ يُشْكَرْ وَلَا يُكْفَرْ, and that he's thanked and he's not, how can you say, dealt with like with ingratitude. This is the right, so this is taqwa. So the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that you obey Allah and you don't disobey him, that you remember Allah and you don't forget him, and that you what? And that you show gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you don't show an ungrateful mannerisms towards Him. All right, so this is haqqa tuqatihi. And then after that, he said, وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ, and don't die except for that you're a Muslimun, that you're in a state of Islam. All right, so this means that you remain in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until death overtakes you. All right, so after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is the same surah, this is all these ayat from the same place in the Quran. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ. Alright, وَاعْتَصِمُوا, it means what? Like hold tight to something, hold tight to something. Because everything that you need is in that thing that you're holding tight to. Your protection, your safety, everything. You know, because you see like i'tasama, and also we have the word asama wal isma. You see where the word comes from. You know, and asamahu, you say asamahu Allah, that Allah protected him. And your isma is your protection, your safety, the things that you know to protect you. So this i'tisam is like through you holding tight to this habl that is about to be mentioned, you know, that you're seeking that isma with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His obedience. So wa'tasimu bihablillah. Habl, and the other word is a sabab. And I don't mean the word sabab as we use it. Sabab, like we use sabab to mean like a reason. A sabab is a rope, like an actual factual rope. So according to Imam al-Baghawi, he said, where am I? He said, Al-habl as-sababu alladhi yutawassalu bihi ila al-bughya. He said it was a sabab, so it's a rope that by holding on to this rope and following this rope, it leads you to your desired point, the place that you're getting to go. Because by holding tight to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is the desired point that you're trying to get to? Jannah. Jannatul Firdaus, not like that oil, that Coca-Cola. Yes, the name of the oil is Jannatul Firdaus. Well, we don't call it. We call it Coca-Cola. You ain't gonna call it Jannatul Firdaus, right? But yeah, that's what we're trying to get to. That's the bughya. That's the desired destination and final place. Then after that, he said, no, where am I? وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا, all together. So all of you, not just you alone, but all of you, all the people that want khair and want good and want to follow the deen, and all of you hold tight to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, and don't differ and differ amongst each other. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. Now who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically speaking to? Or speaking about, I should say. No. Who is he speaking about? Come on, you haven't jumped up on the table. Come get in the live stream. Dad. She's too shy. All right. Let's see if anybody's going to answer. Yeah, the rope is Islam. It's the Quran. No, specifically men min al-Sahaba. What? Yeah, Al-Aws wal Khazraj. Because Al-Aws wal Khazraj before Islam, for a period of about 120 years, they were fighting and killing each other in Jahiliyyah. Because the origins are their two sons from the same father. But then they differed because one of them killed, and this is like, 120 years before Islam, right? Because all these qaba'il, these tribes, they got their names because of what? The names of the children, the father, and then the children. Like you look at the tribes, and the three major tribes in Yemen are what? You have Hamdan, which is the Asl. And then from Hamdan, you got Hashid and Bakil. These are two sons of Hamdan. But the son Bakil, he took his side of the family and went over here. And, Tal. Yeah. Come on. She's tired. She's in chill mode, man. She's not in like try to become a star mode. But so Hashid is one son, Bakil is one son. So Bakil, he took his children, he took his family and went over to one area. Hashid took his family, went over to his area. And then what happens is like they have a disagreement one day. One of them kills one of them, and the next thing you know, the tribal war starts. And this is what happened with Al-Aus al-Khazraj. So they fought for 120 years back and forth, stopping from time to time. Then it gets started and ignited again, and then they're killing each other again. So this is specifically who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about. But what's the qa'idah that we took this a while back in tafsir? What's the qa'idah? So is this only for Aus al-Khazraj? I'm tongue-tied because of that lasagna today. Is this only for them, or can we also benefit? Is this for us also? So what's the qa'idah? What's the qa'idah? What's the principle? What's the rule in tafsir? Let's see if anybody's gonna answer it. العبرة في عموم اللفظ لا بخصوص السبب. No, ما تذكر. I just gave it to you. العبرة, like the lesson that we get في عموم اللفظ, and the general wording. So here we look at the general wording for us. Now it has a sabab khas, like there's a specific reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this down, because they were going back and forth, and it's a long hadith, so we're not going to go over it now. But the point is, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them of this favor over them, so they stop, their disagreement. All right, but that's a specific sabab. That's for them, right? But for us, what do we have? The umum, like the general wording. So we benefit from the general wording. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this blessing of Islam. He's made us brothers, and we should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this ni'mah. All right, that's that. Now, as far as Al-Aus wal Khazraj, their issues, okay, they were fighting and killing each other for 120 years. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made sulh between them. Allah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and brought peace between them. They accepted Islam, and then they became the protectors. They became the Ansar, the protectors of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is a huge blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them. And he's reminding them to be thankful for this. But we also benefit from the general meaning, which is, we have this deen by the permission of Allah. Allah has given us this as a favor, from his bounties, from his mercy for us. And we should be grateful and hold tight to this. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to Yahya? Ya Yahya, khudh al-kitaba bi-ish, quwwa. Like take it in a strong manner, and this is the whole point. If you know that this is a blessing, you know that this is the greatest blessing on the face of this earth, that there's no greater blessing than this, then that's going to make you what? You're ready to protect that thing with your life. Because if you think, like right now, let's say that you think that your children are the best blessing on the face of this earth, right? And somebody tried to come and harm your children or take your children away from you, what would you do? Ya akhi, you become a suicidal maniac, serial killer for anybody that tried to put their hands on your children, right? And that's natural, because you see them as being this great blessing, and you don't want nobody to come and touch that blessing, right? But when it comes to the deen, you don't have that same energy, do you? The energy's not there. Not saying you go become a suicidal maniac serial killer, but you know what I'm saying. You protect this. You don't allow any outside interference to come in between you and your connection to your Lord. Any distractions, you don't allow them. Like you set up like this jidar, like this wall, right? This hasan al-hasin, this where you don't allow anything to come in that's going to distract you from getting closer to Allah, from learning the deen, from doing the things that you have to do. So that means foolish friends, that means entertainment or whatever, anything. You don't allow that into your life to distract you, because you're trying to protect that blessing and protect that ni'mah. So that's the way that you can be grateful and thankful. So that's why he said what? So again, I keep losing my spot. So he said, "إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً." So you used to be enemies, and we can see the same thing here. When I lived in Los Angeles, there was a brother named. Most of the brothers that became Muslim in Los Angeles, they were Crips, right back in the days, when they were before Islam. One of the brothers, he was a Southside Crip, from the same gang that killed Tupac, and he was locked up in prison for years. And he got out of prison, and he was at the masjid, and his closest friend became what? Another brother named Muslim. He died, Allah yarhamu. He was a blood. He was a big blood, big back in the days, and then before he became Muslim. And they became closest friends. All that stuff they put aside. But you see, like nowadays, you see people will lie with the jahiliyyah, akhi, that they can't even put that garbage aside. Where the gang, those gang affiliations that he had before Islam, they still affect him even Islam, to where he won't even give salams to a brother because he's what? They're from a different gang. Huh? No, because they still affiliate with that garbage. They still do it till now. And you see it. You'll see it a lot here. You'll see brothers coming up in here wearing all red or orange, and you'll see it. What's that? What are you trying to show? If you want to show your love for Allah and His Messenger, then why don't you come in a white thobe? Why you come in representing gang affiliations and this type of jahiliyyah? You'll see it if you pay attention. If you don't know what it is, it will kind of like go under the radar. You won't notice, but you'll see some people come up in here with Houston Astros clothing on, representing the Hoover Crips, a neighborhood that doesn't even exist in the city. It's in Los Angeles. It's not even in Fresno, but you see it because that connection, that affiliation is still to the Jahiliyyah. It's not here. It's not with Islam. If Islam was his true concern, then all that stuff means nothing, akhi. Nothing. Imagine like the Sahaba and amongst Khazraj and Aus, they were fighting and killing each other. So he might now be close brothers to somebody who killed his cousin or killed his brother or killed somebody before Islam. He was a killer, and he knows that this guy killed maybe somebody from his family. But does he allow that to affect him after Islam? No. Once Islam came, they became brothers. And he put that to the side. That's Jahiliyyah. It's not his concern anymore. He has nothing to do with that anymore. His concern is the here and now. It's about pleasing Allah and putting all that stuff in the rearview mirror. But people, like a lot of people nowadays, and that's why you see when I was in Jacksonville, what was the most of the questions? These brothers become Muslim and they're blood, but they're still going around in prison. Every time there's something kicks off between the Bloods and another gang in prison, here the brother is going up and fighting with the Bloods. Now, your allegiance is to Allah and His Messenger, or your allegiance is to the kuffar. You ain't having two allegiances. No, you're going to be with this or you're going to be with that. There's no two allegiances, and that's the way it goes. Because if your allegiance is still to the kuffar after this beautiful ni'mah, this greatest ni'mah has been given to you, then what does that show you? What's more important to that person? Those kuffar, the gang. That's what's more important to him. Because why won't he let it go? If he knows that Islam is the truth, then why won't you let it go? Why are you still hanging on to that if you know that Islam is the truth? That means that you're not really sadiq. You're not really honest in the words that you say. But Allah musta'an, man. Allah guide us. May Allah guide us. Wallahi, you see such stupidity, akhi. Wallahi, stupidity. Wallahi, a Muslim gang member is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard of. I've ever heard of it. And if a person dies and he's still affiliated with the gang, do we pray on him? If he gets killed? No, we don't pray. We don't pray on him. Let his gang pray on him. Let his gang go and bury him in a gang cemetery. And we have nothing to do with him. If he died on that, if he died supporting that and died fighting for that, akhi, that's jahiliyyah, man. We have nothing to do with that person. Nothing to do with him. So he said, بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَاسْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ. Oh, he said, after that, he said, إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً. So you used to be enemies. فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought your hearts together with Islam. All right. فَأَسْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. And you became, with the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you became brothers. Those kuffar and those gangs, or that other, any of the kuffar, whether they're in gangs or not, they're not your brothers. And they're not your brothers. And it's not permissible for you to take them as brothers. Now you have an actual physical blood brother. He's your brother as far as blood. but he's not your brother as far as anything outside of blood. The only thing that's your real brother is what? Yeah, in Islam, your brother on this deen. That's it. Man, come here. Oh, she hears them dogs. So in the Bukhari class, she was jumping up on the table and sitting right here. On one of the videos. But now when it comes to the live stream, she doesn't want to get involved. Bring the chair over. Get her over here. People get to see the masjid cat, man. Well, at least we know the sound's still working. Ta. She's not. I told you she's in chill mode. She's not in there. Leave her. Huh? Grandma, Todd. All right. فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا. So you became brothers. وكنتم على شفاء حفرة من النار. الشفاء is like it's in the Arabic language. It's a well, like a bi'r. That part of the bi'r that you stand on and you're about to fall into the well. But now it's like because obviously a well is like a pit, right? And shafa is like that part, that cliff type thing where you're standing there, and then you're about to fall into this fire, right? So he said this is how you were before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you Islam. You were on the edge and you were about to fall into the fire. The only thing that separated you from falling into the fire is what? Is dying on kufr. Is dying on kufr. Ani antamut ala kufr. Once, if you had died on kufr, what? You would have fallen into the fire. You were, but the thing to know, that Islam brought you out of that. But I'm saying the only thing that kept you from falling in the fire at that time, at the time of Jahiliyyah, before you got Islam, the only thing that kept you from falling in the fire is that, the only thing that stopped you was that you had to just die on kufr. And if you died on kufr, khalas, you would have fallen in the fire. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you. He gave you that rope. You got pulled out. You got pulled away from that fire, by his blessing. So he said after that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved you from that, kept you from dying on kufr and brought you into Islam. كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ آيَاتِهِ. And like this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes clear his signs to you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. With the hopes that you will find guidance with, that you use these signs to be what? To be guided with. That these become a source of guidance for you, that you. All right. After that, he said, لعلكم تهتدون وتكون منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and he said, and there will be a ummah, a nation amongst you, يدعون إلى الخير, and they're going to be calling the people to the good. They call the people to the Quran. They call the people to the obedience of Allah and His Messenger. And they call the people to Tawheed. وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and they command with good obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنَ الْمُنْكَرِ, and they prohibit the disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and call the people away from that. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ, and these are the people that are going to be victorious and successful in their lives in this world and the next. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in the da'wah, so the da'wah will be successful. And they'll get the reward for the da'wah, and then in the next life they'll be successful because of what? Inshallah, they go to Jannah, right? If they die on that. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ تَفَرَّقُوا وَاخْتَلَفُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and don't be like those that tafarraqu, that they differed and then they split up. They left the jama'ah, they left the obedience, and each group over there forming his own little firqa and hizb. وَاخْتَلَفُوا, and they differed amongst each other, مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ, after the clear signs, after everything had been made clear to them. So they understood this is obedience to Allah. This is disobedience to Allah. Obedience to Allah, that means you follow the huda, you follow the guidance. Disobedience to Allah, you follow what? You follow your desires and you follow shaitan. So what did they choose? Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Qawmi Musa, what? فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُم. And once they deviated, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left their hearts to what? To deviate. And then that was it. And they don't come back after that. But they deviated. They started to follow their desires first. And they went against the correct guidance. Alright. So he said, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ تَفَرَّقُوا وَاخْتَلَفُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. He said, and those people and those that do that, they'll have a great punishment. They'll have a very great punishment. Alright, so that's the end of those ayat from Surah Ali Imran. You got the place, right? Alright. وقال عز وجل في سورة الأنعام وأن هذا صراطي مستقيما فاتبعوه ولا تتبعوا السبل فتفرق بكم and I lost the place, man. I'm going from my memory. I'm turning the page and I got lost. Where is it? Where am I at? فاتبعوا ولا تتبعوا السبل فتفرق بكم عن سبيله ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تتقون. Alright. So he said, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا, and this is my path, the mustaqiman, the straight path. Alright, there's no what? There's no iwaj, right? There's no crookedness in this path. It's what? It's straight and it's clear. Alright, فَاتَّبِعُوا. So what? Follow it. This is the path of Allah. It's laid out for you. Now what's your duty? Follow it. And do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you to do and stay away from what He's prohibited. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا سُبُلْ. And don't follow what? The subul. And what are the subul? The sabil is what? A sabil is a pathway, like a path that you follow, right? Subul is the plural form. So the path of the deen is one path. And the truth is one. It's wahid. That's it. Al-haq wahid. That's it. There's no, well, it's possible that this could be true too. No, it's not. No, it's not. Everything came from one ilah, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was sent down through what? Allah, wahdahu. Alright. Through one messenger, which is Jibril, to one messenger, which is what? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's one message. That means one message equals what? One truth. Khalas, there's one path. That's it. There's no, but maybe this is okay. No, there's not. These are the subul. These are the other paths that, you got the straight path and then you got these deviations and these turns and these, the guy didn't use the correct Google map, and he turned off and went on the wrong path, right? Because he didn't follow the directions. He didn't follow the instructions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down to him. So he what? He deviated, right? So what did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say about this, about the subul? Anybody? Hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Nobody? Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he reported, he said, خَطَّ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ خَطًّا. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he drew a line, like a straight line. Alright? ثُمَّ قَالَ هَذَا سَبِيلُ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ خَطَّ خُطُوطًا. And then he did what? And then he drew lines off of that one khat. عن يمينه وعن شماله. He said, وقال هذا سبل على كل سبيل فيها شيطان يدعو إليه. At the head of each pathway of these paths that go off, there's a shaitan that's calling to this path. Now that shaitan, does that mean that it has to be a shayateen from the jinn? No, shayateen from the jinn, shayateen from the ins. Because you have the shayateen from the jinn that they do the wasawas and they try to get you to veer off the correct path. And you also have the shayateen from the ins, from the mankind. So the devil's here, not just the devil of the jinn, but the devil of the jinn and mankind. And they're calling to this path. And then after that, the Prophet ﷺ read this ayah. So that's the subul, the straight path, and those subul are what? And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا what? السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. Because if you follow these subul, what happens? When you're on that straight path, we're all following the straight path. There's no iftiraq, there's no tafarruq, there's no ikhtilaf, right? Because we're all following the same path, right? But now you veer off to the right and you take your opinions and your desires. He veers off to the left and he takes his opinions. What happens now? Now we're going to start having ikhtilaf, right? We're going to differ. Now we're going to start to have problems. We're going to have arguments. We're going to be going back and forth with each other. But if we had stayed on that sirat al-mustaqim in the beginning, what? Khalas. No differing, no problems, because we're all trying to get the same thing. We might differ maybe in certain issues of fiqh because of our understandings. Or maybe because, like, for example, you do research of the hadith and you find that the hadith is sahih or hasan. I do research of the hadith and I find that the hadith is da'if. So you say, you make a hukum based on the hadith that you see as being hasan, and I make hukum based on the fact that I see the hadith as being what? Da'if, right? But does that mean that we're not on the same sirat? No, because both of us are trying to do what? We're both trying to get to the truth by following the evidence. So we might have little, not disagreements, but we have differences in understandings and what we take as far as the adillah. But that doesn't destroy our brotherhood. That doesn't cause us to go off into different groups. I can still be from Ahl Sunnah and you be from Ahl Sunnah, and we might, for example, I'll give you the example of what, because the brother asked about, or maybe a brother, maybe I don't know who it was, but somebody asked about touching the mushaf when you not in a state of tahara. Okay, so what if you read the mushaf and you're in a state of janaba? All right, that means now you're in a state of what? Sexual impurity, which means the big impurities, right? So now, is it permissible for you to read the mushaf? Can you sit back and read the Quran while you're in a state of janaba? What's your dalil? That's why he doesn't say anything. See, he's learned his lesson. You're still young, 16 years old and learning. Now you're going to learn today because your teachers in school don't do this to you. What's the evidence? Clovis West, come on, represent your school. Do y'all sit there and say that at school? Clovis West, we are the best. You well, that would be kind of gay, wouldn't it?
Because even if you don't have a vote, you're not allowed to play.
Who said that? There's narrations of, if I'm not mistaken, Abdullah ibn Omar, that if he had to pass gas, he would stop reciting, pass gas, and continue reciting. Obviously, he's not in a state of wudu. And then the Prophet ﷺ used to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala kulli ahwalihi. Kulli ahwalihi, it means whether he was in a state of tahara or not in a state of tahara. And that dhikr that is mentioned in the hadith by Aisha, it includes the remembrance of Allah, the qiraat al-Quran, everything except for obviously salat and things like that. So, so some people would take the narration of Ali, which is in Bulugh al-Maram about this, and they'll say that narration is hasan. And they'll say it's not permissible for a person to recite the Quran in a state of janaba. The people of Ahl al-Hadith will say, no, that narration of Ali is da'if jiddan. It's not accepted. And we're not going to take that narration from Ali because it's not accepted. So therefore, you have no evidence to say that it's not permissible. So it's permissible. Okay. Now, we differed, right? But we differed on what? Did we differ because of desires? We both desire the same thing. We want to know the truth. But you look at the narration as what? Authentic, hasan. I see the narration as being very weak, so I don't use it. And therefore, you have no evidence to say that it's not. So if you have no evidence, then that means it's what? Then all you have is the umum, the general statement of Aisha that the Prophet ﷺ kana yadhkurullaha ala kulli ahwalihi. In any situation, all the states that he was in, he would remember Allah, whether he was in a state of wudu, not wudu, janaba, whatever. That includes all of those states and includes all types of dhikr, other than, like I said, salat and tawaf and things like that, all right, that you can't do without wudu. So, now, but did we differ as far as our desires? No, because our desires are going in the same direction. We're both trying to get to the truth, and we're both using what? We're looking at the hadith to get to the truth. And we didn't differ because of even our understanding. Because I'll say, well, there's Sahaba that used to recite the Quran in the state of Janaba. And you'll come and you'll say, well, there are other Sahaba that said it's haram and they would never recite the Quran in the state of Janaba. Okay, tell you. Again, you take from what you feel comfortable with, I take from what I feel comfortable with, but we're all trying to get to the truth. We're not trying to follow our desires, we want to follow the truth. So therefore, we're still on the same path, even though we had that little slight differences. But these differences that cause these people to break off into all these different groups is them following their desires, not following the Adillah, rejecting the Adillah, going counter to the Adillah because the Adillah was against them. The evidence was against them. So they rejected it, and then they followed their desires because they wanted to do what they wanted to do. Or they took the evidence and they twisted it to try to fit their corruption. You know, and you see this all the time with the people when you ask them, oh, well, you know, riba is like haram, but, you know, once you hear but, akhi, just go ahead and walk out the masjid. You know, somebody told me that. I didn't read this in Majmu' al-Fatawa, but I remember one brother, he told me this one time. He said, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah called it في Majmu' al-Fatawa. Like I said, I didn't read this. But even whether he said this or not, it's true. He said that he will call it alladhi yati ba'da walakin, and la yati khayr ba'da walakin. You know, once you say walakin, whatever comes after that is not khair, it's no good. Because the people, they do this when they're about to say something very stupid. You know, oh, it's haram, but what? No, there's no but. You just said it's haram. There's no but, right? Oh, Ahmed is a very, very good brother, but what's about to happen now? It's flesh eating time, right? Once he says, like, Ahmed is a very good brother, but what? What's about to happen? He's about to stab him in the back. He just wanted to say something good about him before he backbit him, right? But anything that once you hear but, it's time to leave. Because this deen is not built on I don't want to say built on butts, but you know what I'm saying? But we don't have walakin. It's haram, it's haram. Yes, keep laughing over there, man. It would sound wrong, right? Then somebody will clip that one thing. He said the deen was built on, you know, long time. But anyway, so I don't even know where I'm at. But you get it, right? Mafhum. Mafhum, ya Ibrahim. Mafhum.
I don't know.
Mafhum, it means is it understand? Is it understood? Yeah. I'm gonna keep talking you to saying these words to you in Arabic. So you start to, because you're starting to pick up stuff, man. So I gotta keep pressing you, inshallah. So he said after that, yeah, so those are the subul, right? فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you be people of taqwa. You follow this path and be people of taqwa. You go off and you follow your desires, you're not being people of taqwa. Then after that, what time is it? It's 9 o'clock. What's that? And it is, but when it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying wasaqum, it means it's amarakum, that He commanded you. It's a command. Alright, and after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He said, وَقَالَ عَزَّ وَجَلْ فِي سُورَةِ الرُّوم. Alright, and we're going to read this. This is going to be the last bit of ayat that we read, and then we're going to say the rest, inshallah, for the day after tomorrow. Or should we just take the questions and stop here? I think we stop here, right? Y'all want to keep going? What? Huh? Chat, y'all want to keep going? Who cares? The people in the masjid want to keep going. Y'all got no choice. You can just turn it off. Yeah, nobody's going to even notice, right? All right, so قال عز وجل في سورة الروم فأقم وجهك للدين حنيفا. So he said فأقم. All right, you face your, like, you know, turn your face to what? للدين حنيفا. That means what? And when here, according to Imam al-Baghawi, فأقم وجهك, it means أخلص دين. أخلص دينك. Like, what does that mean? Like all of your worship and everything that you do of khair, you know, make it mukhlas and only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make your deen a deen of sincerity to only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you're not doing things for the people. So فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ أي أخلص دينك. دينك. All right, and he said Hanifa. What does Hanif mean? Huh? The resounding Zubair said keep going. Dawood said keep going. Muhammad Fatima just said of course. All right. Huh? Hanifa, what does it mean? All right, this faida comes by way of Raghib al-Asfahani. And he wrote, what is his famous book? It's called Mufradat al-Fadh al-Quran. So if you go and you look up the word Hanif, he said Hanifa, he said al-Hanaf. Because al-Hanif, it comes from the word al-Hanaf. Al-Hanafu huwa mail an al-dalal ila al-istiqama. Al-mail an al-dalal ila al-istiqama. What does that mean? Al-mail. What does al-mail mean? When you say something is mail, it means what? It's like, yeah, it's like it should be up on the jidar. ولكن called مال عن الجدار. It's now starting to become inclined away from the wall. So this person, the Hanif, the Hanaf, the person of Hanaf or the Hanif, he's what? مائل عن الضلالة. Just like that, just like that bookcase now is starting to fall away from the wall. That wall would be misguidance, and it's what? It's inclining away from misguidance and towards what? Towards istiqama, which means what? To be upright, to be on the correct guidance, to be righteous. So al-ma'il an al-dalal ila istiqama. He said, well, janaf. All right, this is al-hanaf. So al-hanaf is one, and al-janaf al-aqs. Al-janaf huwa al-mailun an al-istiqama ila al-dalal. So al-hanif alladhi ma'il an al-dalal ila istiqama, ma'il an al-shirk ila al-tawheed, ma'il an al-bid'ah ila al-sunnah. All right, all of these things. All right, he's going away from them. He's inclining away from them. But the janif, al-janaf, is the ox, that he's now inclined away from the sunnah to bid'ah, inclined away from obedience to Allah to disobedience, away from istiqama to dalal. You understand? So this is al-janaf. But al-hanif, this is the fitrah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He created us to worship him, for obedience to him. And that's what we're going to see in this ayah. So he said, and like I said, if anybody wants to look that up, it's in al-Asfahani's book, Mufradat al-Fadh al-Quran. This is a must-have book. A must-have. Mufradat al-Fadh al-Quran. This is an amazing book. All right. So he said, فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. So here he said, فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ. فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ, it means deen Allah. Deen Allah. This is the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That what? فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. خَلَقَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. So the first word, fitrah, it means the deen. And the second, fatara, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the people upon this way of this deen. That they, that if they stay on their fitrah, that they only do what? That they're only inclined to what? The obedience to the Creator. Bring her here, man. Jibba. She's walking up amongst the mushafs now. There you go. Unless Hamza wants to make the adhan.
I see you.
I don't see y'all because y'all in the ladies section. Y'all don't want to sit up here and study with the rijal, huh?
Sounds like someone's going to get help today.
Huh? I'm in, you're out. You're over there in the ladies section. Allah musta'an. Yeah, safe. Khalas, khali have this. She's not in the mood to get on live stream and show the world her cat beauty. She still got shyness. Even though she's like an old lady cat, but she still has shyness. Complete opposite of most of the women nowadays, 99.9%. All right. So he said, فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا لَا تَبْدِيلَ لِخَلْقِ اللَّهِ. Now, if it depends on the understanding that you say of fitrah. If you say that the fitrah is the meaning of deen, then la tabdila, huh? Are you cold? Huh? Then move over here. I know, move over here. That's why that brother keeps turning the air conditioner off all the time. You know, the old brother that always sits here during the Friday khutbah. Because he's sitting right next to the vent, man, and I'm up there sweating like crazy, and he's turning the air conditioner off. Dude, go sit in the middle. You don't got to sit next to the vent. Let the people who want the AC sit next to it, you know, because the vents are over there on the side. Come in the middle. Or come over here. Sit over in Hamza's place. Hamza ain't here. Hamza's over there sitting in the women's section. Sit in his place. He won't mind. Yeah, that's a good question. And when Hamza gets out of the women's section, Hamza can come answer that question for y'all. All right. So, I wasn't going to go to no in and out with him anyway, so I'm going to have my fun. All right. So فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله. لا تبديل, there's no exchange for what? خلق الله. All right, لا تبديل لخلق الله. خلق here, it also means deen. If you understood the fitrah, it means what? Deen. There's no change. There's no exchange for the deen of Allah. All right, the deen of Allah is one. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put as the deen for all of creation, that's the deen to be followed. And there's no switching it and changing it. And some of the people say, لا تبديل لخلق الله. It means that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for the person in the womb of his mother. Like what you saw in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. You know, when the Malik, he goes to the rahim of the mother, you know, after 4 months, what does he do? Yep, and if yu'maru bi katabi ish. رزقه وأجله وعمله وشقي أو سعيد. So this, you know, what's been written for the person are his provisions, his lifespan, and his actions in this dunya, and whether or not he's going to die on happiness or sadness, right? Which means he's going to go to Jannah or he's going to go to the hellfire. So the thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote, which is a sa'ada or a shaqawa, that also some of the people of tafsir said that that's the meaning of la tabdila li khalqillah. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote that he's going to die on kufr, he's dying on kufr. If Allah wrote that he's going to die on Islam and Iman, on obedience, then he's going to die on that. La tabdil. Like there's no exchange for that. There's no changing it. It's going to be exactly as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote it. And of course, both of those are true. Both of them fit the ayah. سَذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمُ وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And this is the most upright deen. This is the correct path. This is the path of istiqamah. وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. But the majority of the people, they don't what? They don't know. You still with us? You got it? How did they translate it there? Yeah, I test them.
I don't know. I feel like it's different than yours because it will be what you're saying, and then it'll change. And then it'll go back to it, and then it'll change.
The book changes or what changes?
Like what you're saying will be matching it, and what you're saying it doesn't match it anymore.
Oh, because I'm giving it from the tafsir. They're giving the translation. I don't do that translation stuff. Like I sit down and go through all the books of tafsir and look at the, you know, whenever I'm going through the ayat, I'm not going to sit here and translate it. I'm going to go through the tafsir and the understanding of the ayat, because that way you can understand it. Because if I translate it, la tabdila li khalqillah, there's no exchange for the creation of Allah. What do you understand there? What do you understand? But now when I explained it through the tafsir, that okay, is the khalq here, it means the deen. Or it means what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for the person, and you know, now you understand it. But if I just say la tabdila li khalqillah, that there's no exchange, that there's no change in the creation of Allah. But then, you know, there is, because you get tattoos, you change the creation of Allah, didn't you? So it's not tabdil of the whole khalq, but it's tabdil of the actual, you know, what you're doing. And you get punished for that. All right. So that's not what the meaning is. So I'm giving you the tafsir, not just the translation. All right. So he said after that, he said, لا تبديل للخلق. All right. منيبين إليه واتقوه وأقيموا الصلاة ولا تكونوا من المشركين. He said منيبين إليه. What does that mean? منيبين إليه. Huh? No. Munibin, it means anaba, it means raja'a. Like you go back to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like if you made a mistake and you've gone out of the obedience of Allah, you've disobeyed Him, that you go straight back to being obedient. You don't sit back and say, I'm going to take the week off and just like, I've already messed up. Let me go ahead and enjoy myself. No, as soon as you messed up, you feel the regret, you make tawbah, and you go straight back to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is al-inaba. So munibin ilayhi, that you know that you return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in obedience. Wattaquhu, and once you've returned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in obedience, that you remain in a state of taqwa, that you remain in a state of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa aqimu salat, and to establish the prayer. Wa la takunu min al mushrikeen, and don't be from amongst the mushrikeen. The mushrikun huna, it means the Jews and the Christians, al Yahud wa Nasara, and we're going to understand this because of what comes after it. وَلَا تَكُونُوا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ فَرَّقُوا, from the people that have differed and broken up into different groups. فَرَّقُوا دِينَهُمْ وَكَانُوا شِيَعًا, they differed amongst themselves and they broke up into different groups. That's talking about the Jews and the Christians. So don't be like the Jews and the Christians. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called them مِنَ الَّذِينَ what? أَشْرَكُوا, you know, because they commit shirk, right? They're not from the, you know, they try to sit there and say that the Jews and the Christians, they believe in monotheism. How do you believe in monotheism and you're talking about Jesus as the Son of God? What type of monotheism is that, akhi? Then you're talking about the Trinity. They're mushrikun. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it here in the Quran. And that's who he's talking about. He's talking about the Jews and the Christians. All right, so مِنَ الَّذِينَ فَرَّقُوا دِينَهُمْ وَكَانُوا شِيَعًا كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. Every party is with what they have, you know, because they got this, they think that they're on some super duper knowledge that nobody else knows. No, akhi, you're following your desires. The knowledge is the Quran and the Sunnah. That's what you rejected. You went and followed your desires, and now you're all farihun. Farihun, it means what? Huh? Yeah, yaftakhir. He's like bragging and boasting and proud. Like, this is what we got. Look what we got. Our hizb is the best. We got the most knowledge. We got this. But they're on batil. They're on batil. So, Allah understand. But that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us, to stay away from becoming like them. Being like those people that differed and broke up into different groups. And then, you know, each one going off into his own little hizb, proud of what he has. Allah understand. Any questions? Now, not the Jews. I didn't say the Jews believe in the Trinity. I was talking about the Christians. Yeah, Abdul Malik. You didn't have to you didn't have to type his name up in the chat. But yeah, that's the person who always sits next to the vents and then complains about how cold it is. Yeah, Hamid Jamal, he said the primary is Tafsir al-Baghawi. That's what I use most of the time. Not everything, but I use Tafsir al-Baghawi as the initial Tafsir, right? Well, you keep disappearing too. Huh? Okay. So I use that as the initial Tafsir, and then if you know, not saying if I don't like what I saw in Tafsir al-Baghawi, but maybe because Tafsir al-Baghawi, he brings narrations, but he doesn't bring the hadith in the hadith like the way they're supposed to be brought. So if I see that the tafsir goes back to certain hadith, then I'll go to Tafsir ibn Kathir or Tafsir ibn Jarir. So some of this stuff, like I can't even say that everything that I quoted now is from Tafsir al-Baghawi. Some of it is from Tafsir ibn Jarir, some of it was from Ibn Kathir, but most of it is from Tafsir al-Baghawi. Is there a jinn at the beach that possesses women that's called khawas? And is the jinn in the bathroom called jinn al-ha? I don't know about all that. And where will we have knowledge about that from? Except for from the jinn, and they lie too much. Is it a cat there? Yeah, there's a cat here, but we don't know where it's at. It's grandma. That's what I call her, grandma. I don't think there's any questions. It's mostly just someone mentioned that their mom is superstitious. I heard someone respond by saying, "My opinion is that Allah is right and He is in control." I didn't like that, and the person responded by saying, "My opinion. Anything that you say about Allah needs to be backed up by evidence. You can't say nothing about Allah with your opinion. You should fear Allah. Anybody should fear Allah." Would you come here? Why are you walking so slow today, man? She's sick, I think. That's not you know, that coming out of her eye, that's not a tear. That's pus. She's probably, maybe she got in a fight. Cause she just like smacks every cat that walks in here. Every cat in the morning, anybody that gets closer to her, she just slap her. I think she's sick. Yo, Grandma, Tali. Cause you are lazy today, man. She's like looking at me, she's like, no, not coming to you. Yeah, she's sick. Shafaq Allah. La bas tahur, inshallah. Tahur. Cats don't have to worry. They don't have no sins. I don't, like I said, if there's no questions, then we're going to roll out, inshallah. Because it looks like it's all just comments, like based on what we were reading. Now all of a sudden, whew, should have kept my mouth shut. Should have just said, class is over. You following the chat now? Or you still reading the book? Now, all these questions started coming now all of a sudden. Dawood said, would a Muslim get punished for constantly having thoughts of shirk and kufr if he doesn't actually believe or act upon them? No. You get punished for what you act upon and if it's something that you believe. Like you talking about shaitan coming to you and doing these types of wasawas to you, believe this or trying to cause doubt in your deen. It's your job to push that back, push it back and fight it off. And as long as you do that, you get rewarded for fighting it off. But as long as you don't act upon it, you act upon it, then you're gonna get punished for it. Still, some brothers were asking regarding a video. I want to send it to you. But they were asking, Sheikh Yahya said, this is what the Prophet was mistaken in, so please make it clear for us. I don't know what you're talking about. A lot of these guys, they went and they took like clips of something that he said and they took it out of its context. And, I sat with Sheikh Yahya in Damaj, I sat with him in Sana'a, I sat with him in Mecca, and I've never heard him say the things that they say. And I don't know where they get this stuff from. And a lot of the times, one time they went and jumped on him about a statement that he made because it's audio, they can't see it, But we were there. This is way back in like 2001. This is right after Sheikh Mufrad died. They jumped on him about a statement that he made, and he was reading out of the Majmu' al-Fatawa of Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. They said, "Oh, Al-Juri says this." It's like, y'all are idiots. He was reading right out the book. It's a statement of Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. The same thing when he made the statement, he didn't even make the statement. He narrated the statement of Abdullah ibn Umar from the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba. He narrated a narration from Abdullah ibn Umar in regards to the adhan al-awwal for Jum'ah, which is what Uthman ibn Affan commanded the people to call the adhan in the souk, because they couldn't hear the adhan. So they had a person stand in the souk and do this. So when they asked Abdullah ibn Umar about it, he gave the response. Sheikh Yahya put that narration of Abdullah ibn Umar in his book, and they said, "Oh my God, he's calling Uthman ibn Affan al-Mubtadi." Yeah, akhi, you are idiots, akhi. Wallahi, you're liars, you're idiots, and you're insincere. Wallahi, because that's not what he said. That's not what he brought the chain of narration with. And even one guy, he asked me, he said, "I'll show you where the Sheikh said it." I said, "Show me. Show me. I know. I read his books. I read all of the Sheikh's books. I know. Bro. Not all of them, but all of them at that time. Because now he has more. But I'm just saying, at that time, I read all of his books. Show me where the Sheikh said it. And I'm still, man, that was like 2 years ago. I'm still waiting for his response. So if you listen to this, you know who you are, Mr. Instagram. I'm still waiting for that response, Y'all keep running your mouths about things you don't know about, man. You just sit there and take these little clips. You got that much hatred for a person, akhi, khalas, man. What can I say? This is the whole tafarruq is because of what? Again, al-hasad, wal-baghi. The transgression and the hasad. This is exactly what he talked about was what caused the people to go astray. And this is exactly what's guiding the majority of the people. They don't have any type of adala, like any type of adal when it comes to dealing with people. If they like you, oh my God, man, if they like you, you can do what you want. Chat with girls online, go to coffee shops and where there's music playing and girls are jumping up and down and all around. And mashallah, you're still Salafi. They don't like you. And you make one little small mistake, you pick your nose in public, khalas, you're a mubtadi' now. These people are hamqa, wallahi. Wallahi, adalla min himar ahlihim, wallahi. They're more misguided than a donkey lost in the desert, akhi. Seriously. But this is the hizbiyah, right? We follow the truth. You follow the Quran and the Sunnah. There's nothing personal. If there's something that I don't like about a person personally, I don't allow that to dictate my relationship with the person if he's my brother. We're gonna get along. There's gonna be brothers that you feel comfortable with, you talk to, and there's gonna be other brothers that you just don't get along with. But it's what? It's personal, it's not deen, right? But these people, they don't know how to differentiate between the two. So there's brothers in Damaj, akhi, if I get in the room with them, if we're together, we're going to argue. We're going to go back and forth and we're going to argue. But I still love that brother for the sake of Allah. And I'll never say anything bad about those brothers behind their back. I make dua for them, even though personally, if there was no Islam between us, akhi, I would hate the dude's guts. You understand? But he's my brother. You know what I'm saying? We accept that because we were trying to get to the truth in the deen. So we judge each other based on the criteria that was sent down by Allah to his messenger. That's the criteria. We don't judge each other based on you being a part of my group or me liking you or not liking you. Because like I said, you see these little ahzab, these little groups, no matter what you do, look at it with these kuffar with the politics, right? You see like the Democrats and the Republicans, right? Like the Democrats, they have people that, they're Democrat and they can do whatever they want, make all the mistakes in the world. But those people that are in that party, what will they do? They'll make an excuse for them. Oh, no, that's not what he meant. He meant this. But they know that that person's dead wrong, right? And that's the same thing these people do. They claim to be Salafi, but, amongst their group, you got people who molest children, people who do all this type of foolishness, and they make excuse for them. They say, no, but that's they lied about him. Akhi, come on, man. Why are the police looking for him? You know what I'm saying? But they this is the type of stuff they do. But then if they don't like you because you don't associate with their group, you don't want to like bend down and put yourself on, kissing their feet, then what happens? They'll warn against you even if you never made a mistake. They'll just say, what? Here's the thing. Oh, he's not clear. Oh, his manhaj is not clear. No, you're an idiot. That's what it is. You're a complete buffoon. And you're going to answer for that on the day of judgment. Every single one of y'all. Allah musta'an. All right. Ustad, do you have advice for people who have an ego and take personal? I think I just said that. Right? I think I just answered that question. Right? We don't allow our personal differences to dictate our relationship with each other. Why do you think when I first got here, out of all the books I want to start teaching Sahih. Not teaching because we're reading through the book. Let's say reading through it. I wanted to read Sahih Bukhari. I chose this book for what purpose? Why did I choose this book? Yeah, because of the manners. If you don't have good manners, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. We go through all of Sahih Bukhari, but if you have bad manners, you're gonna chase the people out the deen regardless of how much knowledge you have. We learn how to act. We learn that this is the sunnah. This is how we should act with each other. This is how we should treat each other. This is how we should talk to each other. This is the way. This is the most important thing for the people to learn before they seek the knowledge. It's of how to act right, how to be, because you can't sit here and talk about, oh, mashallah, I've memorized Bukhari, I memorized the Quran, I memorized Bukhari, and I memorized Alfiyat ibn Malik, but your demeanor and your behavior is ghetto as all can be. Akhi, that doesn't go together. You chase the people from the deen. Because if you truly benefit from the deen and you benefit from being a Muslim, from Tawheed, from the Quran and the Sunnah, that should refine you. And that means that the Muslims, we should have the best manners, the best manner of speaking. We shouldn't be using this type of foolish language that, like these F words and all this type of. Muslims should never talk. They should never talk like that. Should never speak like these kuffar. Should never act like them. Should never behave like them. But that's because the people are going away from the Sunnah, and they're busying their time following what the kuffar are doing. Social media, the music and all this type of stuff. So they want to act, instead of acting like the Sunnah and carrying out, being like the Quran and, trying to be like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What are they trying to do? They're trying to act like some stupid rapper that's probably going to be dead in 2 weeks, up in his grave getting punished because he died on what he died upon. That's what you want to act like. Subhanallah. That's you. But no, man, this deen should refine the people. It should, bring out the best in the people. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided you to the deen, right, that means that there's something good in you. That doesn't mean that good has come out yet. It's there. Obviously, you accept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you the tawfiq to answer this call, to become Muslim. But you got to dig in and bring that khair out by the permission of Allah. And you can't, because shaitan's going to try to get you to bury it. Shaitan's going to try to distract you and get you to go back and look at every single thing but this deen. Every single person but, the going back and following the sunnah. So that's what you see now. You see Muslims, come on, man. Muslims with dreadlocks, sagging his pants, and he's talking about, I'm a Muslim. Yeah, he go act like a Muslim and look like a Muslim, come back and give me salams. I ain't giving nobody salams when they look like that. Because you look like a kafir, you act like a kafir, that's how you're going to get treated. You're going to get treated like what? Kafir. You die on that how? Khalas. We don't know the person prays or not. So, we as Muslims, this should be our refinement. And we should be at the forefront of every, as far as manners and morality, But you see, man, subhanAllah, we're the only ones with the morality in this country, but yet we have no voice. Nobody's listening to us because we got most of the Muslims just acting stupid. Everything that I'm discussing right now is al-wala' wal-bara'. Al-wala' is for ashab al-haq and al-bara' li ashab al-batil. That's it. Al-wala' it means that you what? What is al-wala'? The people that you take as friends, as companions, are the people of khair. Al-bara' means that the people that you disassociate with are the people of bid'ah, the people of kufr, people of jahiliyyah. And that's an obligation. That's a part of our iman. That is a part of our iman. So, yeah, Jama'ah. Y'all brothers in the women's section, y'all ready to pray? We'll pray up here, y'all pray back there. Tayyib. Man wara al-hijab, huh? All right, we gotta go. It's getting late here. Yeah, Jama'ah. Yeah, ikhwan. And they called the adhan a long time ago, 30 minutes ago.
Oh, they did? Friday. Oh, it's Saturday.
It's not even Saturday, it's Sunday. Nice try.
You're pulling.
I'm pulling the Islamic card, right?
We're going to pull that weak hadith that you use as reputation.
Hey, man, ikhtilat. Y'all guys are doing some ikhtilat, man. Y'all came from the women's section to the men's section, man. We got free mixing going on. Oh, this ain't Ali Dawah show. Come on, man. Y'all get out of here, man. It's bitter truth.
The Ali Dawah.
Oh, we gotta go, Jama'ah. We gotta pray. Allahumma musta'an subhanakallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.